Howdy folks, how are y'all doing? My name is Rees and welcome back to the Minecraft 2025 Let's Play Adventure, where today I am excited to be standing out in the rain with all of you, watching the rain come down and the beacon light occasionally pop in. That's not actually what we're doing today. What we're doing today is a little bit of an expedition, a little bit of an excursion. We are heading out across the world. If we go ahead and turn off show caves, or actually it just says show caves, and you click it to turn it off. But you turn it on and it disables it, and it doesn't make much sense. We're heading to this lovely little island over here, which we are going to turn into a non-island. We're getting rid of all the dirt here. We need all the dirt here, so we're starting a bit of a dirt quarry kind of thing. And there was something I wanted to try to do, a little experiment I wanted to run, where I want to set up a portal on this island from the roof of the Nether instead of having to go there, set up a portal, get the coordinates and everything. And I figured, you know what I could do? Is I could just decide where I want the portal. So let's say we wanted to tuck it into, well, whatever this is over here. Or, I'll tell you what. If we want it to be on this island, best thing we could do is pick coordinates dead center on the island. So I'm going to say right here, negative 1405 on the x-axis and 609. Oh my gosh! Sorry, it's not just raining in the game, it's raining in real life as well, and that was one of the loudest claps of thunder I have ever heard in my life. Is it actually raining? I know it was kind of stormy looking and windy. I'm getting up from my chair, hold on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's coming down out there. It's coming down, let me tell you. Okay, well, that's good to know. Where was I at again? Righto, negative 1405 and positive 609. Oh, that's really interesting. That gives us negative 176 and 76 in the Nether. That's fun that the two numbers are the same, except for the one at the beginning. Also, yes, I too have noticed that the frame rate is a little choppy. Even though it seems to be holding at a 60, occasionally it just doesn't feel like it, and I don't know why. There's a part of me that wonders if there's more going on in the world right now than I realized, but I certainly hope not. I don't think the end is presently loaded. I don't think that's quite how that works. I got to thinking about it, though. I was like, man, wait a minute. Is it possible? Is it possible that something is going on right now in the end? Because that machine shouldn't run when we're not there. You know, just so everyone is clear, that shouldn't happen. But it might be. I'm bringing these so I have pieces for the corners of the portal, and we might actually leave them in place. Well, I was sort of hoping night might fall before we started this expedition. But we're going to head off anyway. And it doesn't really matter what time it is when we arrive at the island. We'll have a bed with us, presumably. Unless I'm not bringing with me that container. It doesn't look like I am. And in fact, the only container I have right now is the loot box. You know what? Sleeping is overrated. Not having monsters? Psh! I love me some monsters. No big deal. That's all good and fine. Heading out to the west. There's a part of me that does want to go check in. Because, like, I'm trying to figure out what new could we have done in the world that would cause boatloads of latency, right? And if that machine, for whatever, it shouldn't be running if no one's there to watch it run, is the only thing. It's not worth worrying about, you know what I mean? It's one of those things, it's just not worth overthinking. We just need to get to the current marking on the coordinates. I was trying to get at such an angle that we would arrive right at the intersection at about the same time, and I didn't quite nail it. I was close, though. And, you know, we don't have to be too close on this one. Oh boy. I can hear the rain now. Now there's a part of me that's a little bit concerned. We might lose power. I do have a UPS that this thing is on. I won't run it for very long. I have a Pecron power station in my bedroom now because in a recent storm that knocked power out overnight, I discovered that I have developed a horrible, horrible dependency on my CPAP machine such that I could not sleep all night. Eventually, my parents' power came back on. I went to their house. This was at like 4 in the morning, so I could actually get sleep. Not fun to find out that you have a dependency on what is effectively a fan that blows air into your nostrils. I do think that part of that is that it, if I got my health under control, right? Might not need that anymore. I'm going to leave these corner pieces on, because eventually we'll build some kind of structure around this thing. Well, let's head in and see how it is. Anyway, what I was going to say is I could probably run an extension cord in here from that thing, and it would boost up the runtime on the UPS. But who knows how long the storm's gonna last. I could just check my phone. Well, there's no severe weather warnings or anything, just your basic run-of-the-mill thunderstorm for the next, 30 minutes or so. No, I'm sure it'll be fine, you know, I'm sure it'll be fine. By the way, arrived right on the island here, and it is beautiful. It's a beautiful little island in the middle of this, rushing river. There are all these beautiful cows all around. Yeah, we're gonna strip it bare. I'm not joking. I need dirt and I don't know what else to do, so the island's coming down. We might not have to remove the whole thing, right? Like, we might be able to just collect enough and sort of trim the island down. And goodness me, what is our current frame rate? 42! Why? Maybe the server needs to be restarted. Maybe I need to build that server I, bought the parts for a long time ago. That's just all sitting in the box. The one that's going to have oodles and oodles of RAM. I went through the effort of downsizing the RAM in the gaming PC so that I would have the RAM for the big server. Just not done it yet. All right, how much of this are we actually looking to collect today? How much do we actually want and or need? I'm going to put the wheat seeds here in my inventory. Let's fill up the loot box with grass and dirt. Hey, Switch 2 is out by the time you watch this. That's exciting. Mine, I did manage to get it. Look, despite all the conversation we had about it in previous months, I did go ahead and do a pre-order. I barely got one in at like nearly 2 in the morning, I think it was. But mine is for delivery a little bit later in actually, by the time this video comes out, I might also have a Nintendo Switch. Not to give away too much of the behind the scenes of how this, recording sessions work. But I might already have my Nintendo Switch. I am very unenthusiastic about it. A part of me felt like maybe just canceling the pre-order and not spending $500 on it. Because I had to get the Mario Kart bundle. It was the only one that was available, which I didn't even want because I wanted physical Mario Kart. But I guess I'm saving, what, $30? How much is that game? How much is this stupid Mario Kart game? $80? Stupid. It's so stupid how expensive it is. And it's stupid how expensive the Switch 2 is. But this is where we are right now. I really am not at all excited about this console. Which is sad, because I was really excited. I think I talked about in one of those big videos where we were working on Dead Bull Island, how by the time the Switch came around, I'd become like not a Nintendo fanboy, I wouldn't say. A fanboy, and by my definition, is someone who blindly supports a company and like carries water for them, so to speak, fights their battles for them. Look, companies, they multi-million-dollar companies don't deserve that out of you. You know, being a fan of a product or being a fan of a company does not make you a fanboy. I'm a big fan of Noctua, right? I think Noctua makes really good products. And where it makes sense in a budget, or if you're looking for something that's really quality, I'll always recommend a Noctua. But Noctua stuff is sometimes overpriced for the performance. Now, I think it makes it worth it in other ways. They've got a really good warranty, and they're really good about helping people out, and they support their products for a long time. Hey, guys, you know, if you buy one of their coolers today, it'll almost certainly have an adapter well into the future for whatever your future CPU or GPU is. But that's not always what matters, which is why, yeah, there's a lot of other stuff you can get. I at one point bought a Peerless Assassin in place of an NHD 15 because it was much, much less expensive, and it made a lot more sense for the build. And that's the difference between being a fan of a product or a fan of a company, sort of liking their products or their principles, and being a fanboy, is I can acknowledge that Noctua was not always going to be the best choice, and they're not... Oh, I don't know if you heard that. That was a game finishing downloading in the background. Sometimes there's other brands that make sense. I was a big fan of Nintendo by the time the Switch came around. I was rooting for them. They had a rough go of things with the Wii U. And I really liked their products. I thought their games were quite good. At that point, I'd really invested myself in Zelda and Mario in a way that I kind of hadn't in my youth. I'd become like this this sort of... I came to it a little bit later than a lot of folks, but I really liked it. Oh, this guy's having a rough time, isn't he, because of the rain? Bless his heart. And yeah, they've just done a lot of things over the last several years, the last couple of years in particular, in the lead up to the Switch 2's launch, that's made me not really a Nintendo fan. I'm still a fan of the product, certainly. They still make good games. Mario Wonder was one of the best games I played last year. Probably not the best platformer, though. I'm not going to lie. I played Astrobot, the new Astrobot game. I think that game was really, really good. 2D games, yeah, Mario takes the cake, but I thought that was a really good 3D game. I enjoyed it. But the point remains, not a big fan of Nintendo. And then even in terms of their product, the last thing I was really excited about from them was Tears of the Kingdom, and I never finished it. You know, now granted, I will play it again and beat it on the Switch 2 with the patched, slight performance improvements. Not as good as if it was running on PC. Can I tell you folks something? I know a lot of you are big Nintendo fans. You're not going to like hearing this. Nothing would make me happier than if the Switch 2 failed entirely and Nintendo had to go third party, like Sega, and like we see Microsoft doing right now. I would love to just be able to buy the Nintendo catalog on Steam. I'm sure Nintendo would try to do something goofy, like have a Nintendo launcher, and it would go over about as well as you would expect, and eventually they'd have to come crawling to Steam like everyone does. And I'd be able to buy their games and play them on like an ultra-wide monitor at really high refresh rates. I know, look, you can absolutely emulate their games. Nintendo has their opinion about that. I have my opinion about that. I think if you own the game, and this is only an opinion that I'm stating here, I'm not giving any sort of legal advice or trying to get anyone in hot water. If you own the game, I think you ought to be able to play it how you want. Morality and legality are two different things. It is true. This isn't me being mean again. All right, I'm being genuine. I learned this the other day. It is difficult for people with low IQs to understand that there is a difference between legality and morality. If a thing is legal, it is good, and if a thing is illegal, it is bad. Some people struggle with that, so I'm trying to put it out there in really simple terms. There's a difference between doing what is right and what is illegal. I don't have any issues with anyone doing that. Not that I would ever do it, Nintendo. I would never emulate your games on PC for a better overall experience. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'll play Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2 and give it another shot. You know what? I guess actually the last thing I was really excited about from Nintendo, I barely consider a Nintendo property. Xenoblade Chronicles. I love Xenoblade Chronicles. It's the reason I'm getting a Switch 2, and I guess that is the reason, because I'm still hopeful. In particular, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 will either get a patch or a remaster that improves performance and the resolution. Because even though, like, that game, when it launched on the original Switch in 2017, a miracle they got it running on that hardware and looking as good as it does, they went on to do even better, right? Like, they improved their craft over there at Monolith Soft. And Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, even more so a miracle on the hardware. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and then Xenoblade Chronicles XD. Like, they're doing incredible things. I'd love to see those games get remasters for the Switch 2. I'm hopeful they will. Or maybe not remaster, but just like performance. Actually, 2 deserves a full-on remaster. I think 2 does. I think 2 is good enough to earn itself the Definitive Edition treatment on the Switch 2. But like I said, I barely consider those to be Nintendo games. Like, yeah, Nintendo owns Monolith Soft. Gosh, I wish they didn't. I really do wish. There's other things that I kind of wish just weren't stuck on the Switch or the Switch 2. I'll tell you what, now that I'm thinking about it, there's some other games with either unlocked frame rates or variable resolutions that will just, hopefully, out of the box run better on Switch 2, and one of those is a game that I just hate knowing is stuck on the Switch, and I'm struggling to remember the name of it now. I think we've talked about it before. It was one of my favorite Switch games early on. I thought it was really good. It's a Platinum game. What is it called, though? Something Demon Chain, but it's not Demon Chain. It's not even really anything. Astral Chain! I loved Astral Chain. That was a really fun game. It had a really fun little combat system and an interesting premise, interesting world. Nothing out of the ordinary, really. If you've played Stellar Blade, you've seen a similar-esque story. Not identical by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just saying it's that sort of a story, that sort of a world setup. I thought that game was fantastic, and the only thing holding it back was the fact that I wasn't playing it on my then cutting-edge, 2080 Ti. Did I say 2090? Might actually been a 1080 Ti when that game came out. Whatever was cutting edge at the time. That game would look phenomenal on a more modern system, and hopefully it looks better on the Switch 2. We'll see. Hopefully it either gets a patch or a remaster or something. But yeah, I don't know. Is it sad that the only thing I'm interested in from the Switch 2 is hopeful patches for Switch 1 games? You could say, well, they'll come out with other games in the future. It's like, I don't really care. Again, like the next Xenoblade game I'm excited about, I'd be so much more excited if they came out and were like, hey, we're going multi-plat. You know, hey, get the next Xenoblade game on your PC. I know a lot of folks, particularly the PlayStation fans, are really disappointed to see Sony going the route of multi-platform. And they're really... I don't understand why. Like, I've tried to put myself in their mindscape. I guess if you're really invested in a product, I think it's just that fanboy mentality. Like, well, we got these games! No, don't give them the games! Then the console won't do well. I was like, why do you care about the console? Why do you care about the box you play the game on? Don't you just want good games? I don't give an at's ras where I play Halo. I just want a good Halo game. Which, I mean, look, 343, they've rebranded Halo Studios. It's not a new thing. You gotta stop pretending that Halo Studios is somehow a new thing, and they're somehow gonna now make us better Halo games. They're not. They're not. The next Halo game is probably gonna suck as much as the last one. I really did like, despite its flaws, Infinity. It's a darn shame. Was that what it was even called? Halo Infinity? Was that the last one was called? I'm remembering now. Wait, that was the name of a ship in Halo, but I think that was the name of the last game. Remember, it was going to be the next 10 years of Halo. And then we didn't get any story DLC. And then they kind of abandoned the multiplayer. And they just kind of cooked it. And I'm hopeful that that game coming out, hopefully soon, TM, on PlayStation is going to give it a second life. I would love that, but I just want that game to be good. I want that game to be good. And it just wasn't, and I don't expect them. Anyway, but the point that I'm making is I don't care where you play Halo, I just want a good Halo, and it's the same way I feel about PlayStation games. Like, I'd rather play them on my PC. Why do you begrudge me that? If you're actually someone who's in this camp, this sort of fanboyish camp of, I want the games to only come out on the console that I like, could you explain why? Like, what is the actual reason that has led you to decide that it is not good for people to be able to play where they want? You know, PlayStation's not going away just because their games are going out on other systems. And if what you care about is the exclusives, because that's what everyone talks about with PlayStation, those same studios are making those same games. They're not going to be exclusive anymore, but if what you care about is the games themselves, or is it that sense of exclusivity? Is it the fact that you're in a club that not everyone is in? And as soon as anyone can play Uncharted, well, now it's not fun anymore? Because that's such an odd, childish way of thinking. The rain's gotten worse outside, by the way. Anyway, yeah, Switch 2's out. I might have one. I don't know. I don't care. The rain is coming down a lot worse now, which means that earlier when I looked at the forecast that said it was going to be slowing down, it hasn't. Or maybe I misread it. We're in heavy rain. It's going to transition to moderate in about 50 minutes. No. Moderate in about 40 minutes. And in a couple of hours it'll be light? How? What? I'm going to go before I lose power. Thank you folks for watching. God bless you, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!